This morning, the committee will examine the impact of the 700 megahertz wireless spectrum auction on small businesses. Access to the newest technology is a key ingredient for all companies to innovate and compete in a global economy. For smaller firms, however, it is critical for their success that they have access to cutting-edge equipment and infrastructure. This much-anticipated spectrum auction provides a unique opportunity for entrepreneurs to acquire these tools. Small firms that win the right to purchase spectrum licenses will be able to deploy high-speed Internet access services. This will spur greater innovation and lead to lower communications costs and improvements in service quality. Entrepreneurs operating in underserved areas will also benefit as the new technology is brought to remote parts of the country. As a result, rural businesses will be better able to compete and advance local economic revitalization efforts. I am pleased that the FCC has included in the auction rules a number of elements that should benefit small companies. In order to assist them, the rules provide certain advantages for small firms, mainly in the form of credits toward their bids. In addition, the FCC decision to offer licenses that cover smaller geographic areas may allow these companies to compete and win, despite having more limited resources than a large national carrier. Together, these rules will allow them to start or expand wireless business operations. Entrepreneurs also have the potential to benefit from the FCC's open platform requirements. These requirements, which will allow any device to be used on the spectrum, will help level the playing field and permit for the widespread use of handsets. This will create new markets and spur entrepreneurial activity in a wide range of industries. With all this potential, a downside does exist. Some small companies have raised concerns about whether the auction rules are fair and whether the benefits of the auction will in fact extend to them. For example, rural wireless companies contend that the FCC decision to assign population-based benchmarks to build out requirements will hurt underserved regions. The smallest wireless companies also argue that the new rules governing bidding credits make it difficult for them to raise money and pursue a sustainable endeavor. Fortunately, we have two panels here today that will help us consider both sides of this issue. The witnesses will share with the committee how they expect the auction to benefit small entities and concern they may have about certain aspects of the auction rules. Let me take this opportunity to thank in advance the chairman and all the witnesses for their time and insights on this very important issue. For entrepreneurs that use technology to make their firms more efficient and competitive, this auction offers great promise. It provides a unique opportunity to secure the so-called beachfront real estate of the spectrum. This can be used to launch a new endeavor or strengthen an existing firm's operations. Small businesses, both service providers and communication consumers, stand to benefit greatly. I now recognize Mr. Chabot for his opening statement.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. And I want to thank you for holding this hearing on the Federal Communication Commission's rules for the sale of spectrum in the 700 megahertz band. Although fairly technical, the Commission's regulations of the auction for this spectrum will have a significant impact on small business providers and users' wireless communication services. In 1934, Congress recognized that radio waves were a scarce public resource and authorized the FCC to award licenses for the use of radio waves, but only if the use would serve the public interest. Prior to 1993, the FCC simply gave this resource away. That did not represent good economics or good public policy. Economics teaches us that the best way to determine the value of a resource is to sell it in the competitive market. That way, the entities that put the highest value on the resource will pay the most for the spectrum. The basis for their bidding will be that they will provide consumers with services that the consumers are willing to purchase. Sale of spectrum also represents good public management. It enables the Federal Treasury to recapture the value of this publicly owned resource. Auctions also reduce transactions costs associated with the issuance of licenses. So it's important that the Commission's use of spectrum auctions. I also want to emphasize, however, that small businesses as innovators need to have their fair opportunity to obtain spectrum. These innovators will provide new services and technologies that might not otherwise be developed. More importantly, small businesses tend to find niches that serve other small businesses and may provide wireless services that large wireless companies may not. I am specifically interested in hearing from our witnesses whether the Commission adopted an appropriate balance between maximizing returns to the federal taxpayer while ensuring that small business providers and users of wireless service will benefit from the auction in the 700 megahertz band. And with that, I yield back.